Hello and welcome to this final first exploring session looking at The Case is Altered by Ben Jonson. We've had a fair amount of fun with this play. We're not uncritical of some of its structural issues, but there's some good comedy material in here and some interesting stuff. As ever, the question is, will it stick the landing? Will it end in a way that we enjoy? Will it achieve what we want, which is, of course, we want people to laugh because it's, broadly speaking, a comedy. We've just finished some wonderful comic business. The whole incident of the gold in the nighttime, or the dog. Yes. The dog in the nighttime. We don't know whether the dog in the nighttime made any noise. We don't know whether garlic barked or not. Whether garlic, in fact, ever existed. But it was a delightful scene, and we enjoyed it very much. We're going to be going on from Act 4, Scene 5 today, and continuing to the end of the play to find out how, I say, Ben Jonson closes everything. Reading it with a much more tidy group of readers. The doubling is not quite extreme as it has been in earlier sessions this week. Reading Maximilian and Finio is...
Hi, I'm Eric. I will try to be these people for the next few hours.
That's all we can ask for. That's all we can ask for. Reading Pacue, Jaques, or Jaques, or Jaques, and Francisco is...
Lalitte from Paris.
Reading Phoenixella and Juniper is...
Rachael, actor on the East Coast.
Reading Angelo and Valentine is...
Sarah Blake, actor, writer and director based in Germany.
Reading Chamont today is...
Aliki, actor, theatre maker, translator, currently in Athens in Greece.
Reading Camillo and Onion is...
Alan Scott, no, try not to cry.
Reading Christophero and Balthasar is...
Hello, Dan, actor based in Montpellier, France.
Reading the Count, Martino and Paulo, though there might be some clashes with that combination, is...
Hello, I'm Lynn. I'm a very tired teacher, and I live in the northwestern United States.
And reading Aurelia and Everybody Loves Rachael is...
Hello, I'm Helen. I'm a historian and I'm in Hull.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading stage directions and generally moving everything forward. So, we've just had some fun gold discovery action in Act 4, Scene 4 and thereabouts. We're now going to complete the act and move on into Act 5. So, Act 4, Scene 5, enter Maximilian, Count Farnese, Aurelia, Phoenixella, and Pacue.
Hey, but sweet Count.
Away, I'll hear no more. Never was man so palpably abused. My son so basely martyred, and myself, and made the subject of your mirth and scorn.
Count Farnese, you tread too hard upon my patience. Do not persist, I advise your lordship.
I will persist, and unto thee I speak. Thou, Maximilian, thou hast injured me.
Before the Lord.
Sweet signor.
Oh, my father.
Lady, let your father thank your beauty.
God, by God, ye shall be hanged for telling this same. Me tell her, mademoiselle, she tell her father. I thought it was meant to be French, not Italian. Sorry.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. The true Chamont set free, the one left here of no descent, clad barely, and in his name, Sirrah, boy, come hither and be sure you speak the simple truth.
Oh, pardonnez-moi, monsieur.
Come, leave your pardons and directly say what villain is the same that has usurped the honored name and person of Chamont.
Oh, monsieur, no point villain, brave chevalier, monsieur Gaspé.
Monsieur Gaspé, on what occasion did they change their names? And what was the policy or their pretext?
Me cannot tell, me parfois, monsieur.
My honorable lord.
Cut, be silent.
Silent, Count Farnese. I tell thee, if Amurath the Great Turk were here, I would speak and he should hear me.
So will not I.
By my father's hand, but thou shalt, Count. I say, till this instant I was never touched in my reputation. Hear me. You shall know that you have wronged me, and I will make you acknowledge it. If I cannot, my sword shall.
By heaven, I will not. I will stop mine ears. My senses loathe the savor of thy breath. 'Tis poison to me. I say I will not hear. What shall I know? 'Tis you have injured me. What will you make? Make me acknowledge it. Fetch forth that gasper, that lewd counterfeit. I'll make him to your face approve your wrongs.
Enter serving man with Camillo.
Come on, false substance, shadow to Chamont. Have you none else to work upon but me? Was I your fittest project? Well, confess what you intended by this secret plot, and by whose policy it was contrived. Speak truth, and be entreated courteously, but double with me, and resolve to prove the extremest rigor that I can inflict.
My honoured lord, hear me with patience, nor hope of favour, nor the fear of torment shall sway my tongue from uttering of truth.
'Tis well, proceed then.
The morn before this battle did begin, wherein my lord Chamont and I were ta'en, we vowed one mutual fortune, good or bad, that day should be embraced of us both, and urging that might worse succeed our vow, we there concluded to exchange our names.
Then Maximilian took you for Chamont.
True, noble lord.
'Tis false, ignoble wretch. 'Twas by a complot to betray my son.
Count, thou liest in thy bosom, Count.
Lie?
Nay, I beseech you, honoured gentlemen, let not the untimely ruin of your love follow this slight occurrence. Be assured, Chamont's return will heal these wounds again, and break the points of your too piercing thoughts.
Return? Aye, when? When will Chamont return? He'll come to fetch you, will he? Aye, 'tis like. You'd have me think so. That's your policy. No, no, young gallant, your device is stale. You cannot feed me with so vain a hope.
My lord, I feed you not with a vain hope. I know assuredly he will return, and bring your noble son along with him.
Aye, thereupon my soul he will return.
Oh, impudent derision, open scorn, intolerable wrong. It's not enough that you have played upon me all this while, but still to mock me, still to jest at me? Fellows, go away with him, thou ill-bred slave. That setteth no difference twixt a noble spirit and thine own slavish humor. You not think I'll take worthy vengeance on thee, wretch?
Alas, these threats are idle like the wind, and breed no terror in the guiltless mind.
Nay, thou shalt want no torture, so resolve, bring him away.
Welcome the worst. I suffer for a friend. Your tortures will, my love, shall never end.
And exuent servants with Camillo as well as Pacue. Remains Maximilian, Aurelia, and Phoenixella.
Alas, poor gentleman, my father's rage is too extreme, too stern and violent. Oh, that I knew with all my strongest powers how to remove it from thy patient breast. But that I cannot, yet my willing heart shall minister, in spite of tyranny, to thy misfortune. Something there is in him that doth enforce the strange affection with more than common rapture in my breast. For being but Jasper, he is still as dear to me as when he did Chamont appear.
And exit Phoenixella.
But in good sadness, Signor, do you think Chamont will e'er return?
Do I see your face, lady?
Aye, sure, if love has not blinded you.
That is a question, but I will assure you no, I can see, and yet love is in mine eye. Well, the Count your father simply hath dishonored me, and this steel shall engrave it on his burgonet.
Nay, sweet Signor.
Lady, I do prefer my reputation to my life, but you shall rule me. Come, let's march.
And exit Maximilian.
I'll follow, Signor. O sweet queen of love, sovereign of all my thoughts, and thou, fair fortune, who more to honour my affections, hast thus translated Jasper to Chamont. Let both your flames now burn in one bright sphere, and give true light to my aspiring hopes. Hasten Chamont's return, let him affect me. though father, friends, and all the world reject me.
Exit Aurelia. So, yeah, the Count is unhappy. Well, I mean, for once he's got a good reason to be. You released the wrong man. We're supposed to hold on to the high value hostage, and they swapped round, and cunningly you let Chamont get away. Who was to blame for this failure? I'm gonna blame Maximilian, because I clearly have a downer on him from day one. So poor Gaspard. Off to torture. But knowing the Count, do we feel that the Count's really a torturer? Is he just someone who says, take him to the torture chamber of fluffiness?
The soft armchair.
Yeah,
the comfy chair and the soft cushion.
That's right.
And I think one of the purposes of his little exchange with Onion, Onion, right, at the very beginning, is to show that even his servants don't really take him too seriously. So I think you could imagine that he's like off to torture with him, and his servants are like, yes, sir. And then they're like, okay, we're not doing anything until we know more. They're like, oh, sure, we'll do that.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely torture him. We torture people every day in the room you never go into. Yes.
Yeah.
We have a great makeup department for after the torture. Yes. Oh, we've been torturing. Oh, tortured him so hard, my lord. Alan, then Helen.
The thing that struck me is that Maximilian seems to have had a sudden onset of a backbone. Because every time previously he's been seen, he's been sort of a bit grovelly. And suddenly it almost seemed in the beginning of that scene, he'd suddenly acquired a backbone and was actually almost the dominant character over the Count.
I didn't see that myself. He seems to be very much, he's trying to defend his actions, as it were, against the Count's position. So he's got to defend himself on some level. And of course, he believes that the person he released is an honourable person, and he will return.
Well, he hopes so, anyway.
Yes, I mean he's definitely hoping so.
He's in deep doo-doo if he doesn't.
Exactly, Helen.
Well, yes, because he'll have to find the ransom out of his own pocket. I mean, this is all about money.
It's also the Count's son. The Count would like his son back.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, but the Count can get his son back by ransoming him. It's a question of it's a question of money, not of actually saving his life. But Aurelia, has she fallen for Chamont?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, neither of them are lusting after their brother, are they?
No. I think we established last time
their brother in disguise.
It seemed like it may be for a second, but actually no, it was always the other one.
Yeah. Okie dokie. What her approach to Maximilian is? Do you love me, sort of thing? Are you in love with me? Seemed very, very strange. But he very quickly said no. Yeah. Do I see your face, lady? I sure, if love has not blinded you. And then Maximilian said, yeah, that's a question, but no. I don't know. Maybe it's love in general.
Yeah, because I thought it was more about the question of will Chamont heir return, and Maximilian saying am I able to see something that's apparent in the room now? Well, if I can see that, then he'll definitely return. It's a fact. It's a thing that will definitely happen. That's how I read it.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that point. I'll argue the toss with me if I'm horribly wrong.
I was just somewhat baffled
We've been
by her
occasionally
motivation throughout.
Rachel.
I think that little back and forth between Aurelia at the end and Maximilian is because he says, do I see your face, lady? And she says, if love hasn't blinded you. And he's like, love hasn't blinded me, but I can assure you that that love is in my eye. And then he turns around and says, I'm gonna go murder your father or something, though, or fight him.
Well, it's all about honour. It's this thing of, his honour's been challenged on some level, yeah. Other thoughts about this? It's not a bad scene to dive back into, actually. It's sort of getting us back on track with the A plot, which we'd been distracted with comedy business with gold last time. So that's nice to get us back in the room. Any additional thoughts? Okay, let's dive into Act 5 then. We're going to encounter two characters who we haven't had that much from in the play. We're returning to, broadly speaking, everybody's in love with Rachael. That's sort of where we are, I think, with this scene. Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Angelo and Christophero.
Sigh for a woman. Would I fold mine arms, rave in my sleep, talk idly being awake, pine and look pale, make love walks in the night to steal cold comfort from a day star's eyes? Kit, thou'rt a fool. Wilt thou be wise? Then, lad, renounce this boy-god's nice idolatry. Stand not on compliment and wooing tricks. Thou lovest old Jack's daughter, dost thou?
Love her?
Come, come, I know it. Be ruled, and she's thine own. Thou'lt say, her father Jack, the old beggar, hath pawned his word to thee, that none but thou shalt be his son-in-law.
He has.
He has. Wilt thou believe him and be made a cook to wait on such an antique weathercock? While he is more inconstant than the sea, his thoughts chameleon-like change every minute. No, Kit, work soundly. Steal the wench away. Wed her and bed her, and when that is done, then say to Jack, shall I be your son? But come to our device. Where is this gold?
Here, Signor Angelo.
Bestow it. Bed thy hands, shed golden drops. Let these bald French crowns be uncovered in open sight to do obeisance to Jack's staring eyes when he sets forth. The needy beggar will be glad of gold. So now, keep them aloof, and as he treads this gilded path, stretch out his ambling hopes with scattering more and more. And as thou goest, cry, Jacques! Jacques!
Gosh, leave me alone.
But first, I'll play the ghost. I'll call him out. Kit, keep aloof.
But Signor Angelo, where will yourself and Rachael stay for me after the jest is ended?
Mass, that's true. At the old priory behind St. Foy's.
Agreed. No better place. I'll meet you there.
Exit Christophero.
Now to this gear. Jack! Jack! What, Jack?
Who calls? Who's there?
Jack!
Who calls?
Steward, he comes. Jack!
Enter
What
Jaques.
voice is this? Nobody here. Was I not called? I was. And no one cried Jacques with a hollow voice. I was deceived. No, I was not deceived. See, it was an angel called me forth. Gold, gold, man making gold. Another start. Drop they from heaven? No, my house, I hope, is haunted with a fairy. My dear La, my household god, my fairy on my knees.
Jaques.
My La doth call me. Oh, sweet voice, musical as the spheres. See, more gold.
Jaques.
Enter Rachael.
What? Rachael, lock my door, look to my house.
Jaques.
Shut fast my door. A golden crown, and Jaques shall be king.
And exit Jaques.
To a fool's paradise that path will bring thee and thy household law.
What means my father? I wonder what strange humour.
Come, sweet soul, leave wondering. Start not. 'Twas I laid this plot to get your father forth.
Oh, Angelo.
Owe me no oes, but here, my lord, your love, poor Paulo Farnese, is returned from war, lingers at Pont Valerio, and from thence by post at midnight last I was conjured to man you thither. Stand not on replies, or horse is saddled for you. Will you go? I am for you, if you will stay. Why so?
Oh, Angelo, each minute is a day till my Fernese come. Come, will away, sir.
Sweet soul, I guess thy meaning by thy looks. At Pont Valerio thou thy love shalt see, but not Fernese. Steward, fare you well. You wait for Rachael too. When can you tell?
They exit. Enter Jaques.
Ooh, in what golden circle have I danced? Milan, these odorous and enflowered fields are none of thine. No, here's Elysium. Here blessed ghosts do walk. This is the court and glorious palace where the god of gold shines like the sun of sparkling majesty. Oh, my fair-feathered, my red-breasted birds, come, fly with me. I'll bring you to a choir whose concert, being sweetened with your sound, the music will be fuller, and each hour the ears shall banquet with your harmony. Oh, oh, oh.
Enter Christophero.
At the old priory behind St. Foy's. This was the place of our appointment, sure. I hope he will not make me lose my gold and mock me too. Perhaps they are within. I'll knock.
Oh God, the case is altered.
Rachael. Angelo! Signor Angelo!
Angels? Where? Mine angels, where's my gold? Why, Rachael, oh, thou thievish cannibal, thou eat'st my flesh in stealing of my gold.
What gold?
What gold? Rachael, call help, come forth. I'll rip thine entrails, but I'll have my gold. Rachael, why comest thou not? I am undone. Ah me, she speaks not. Thou hast slain my child.
Exit Jaques.
What is the man possessed trow? This is strange. Rachael, I see is gone with Angelo. Well, I'll once again into the priory and see if I can make them.
And exit Christophero. Re-enter Jaques.
'Tis too true. Thou'st made away my child. Thou hast my gold. Oh, what hyena called me out of doors? The thief is gone, my gold's gone, Rachael's gone, all's gone, save I that spend my cries in vain. But I'll hence too and die or end this pain.
And exit, yes, I quite like the gold breadcrumbs quality of this. We obviously knew he had some already buried, but yeah, there's more. Look, it's everywhere. Poor man's really going to be driven quite quietly mad. Interesting question of intention, because I can't quite remember precisely what's going on with Angelo. Is Angelo genuine about wooing on behalf of Paulo? But bankrolling it by basically swindling Christophero out of his gold, or is he doing it on his own behalf? There was a moment where it felt like an aside. It wasn't marked as an aside, and I wasn't sure if that was a true intention or not. I'm sure we'll know by the end. But thoughts in the room so far, Sarah, then Lynn.
I took that end speech to mean that it was actually himself that was going to go off with her wedder and bedder, because at Pont Valerio thy love shalt see, but not Fernese, so we know it's not going to be the Count. And steward, fare you well as well. So I think he's double-crossed Christophero the steward, and he's double-crossed Rachael by telling her she's going to meet Paulo Fernese, but I think he's actually wanting to abscond with her himself. I think that's how it's going.
I mean, he's definitely squandered, fleeced Christophero. I think that's fair enough. It's just the question: has he fleeced him for a noble cause, or not?
I don't think so, because he does say, "But not Fernese." So I don't. I don't think he's doing it for the Paulo. No.
Lynn.
What Sarah said.
Okay. Helen.
Yeah, I missed what Sarah said, but she's absolutely right. That's an aside. He's saying it's not going to be Paulo. It's going to be me. At some stage, and I'm not sure which, the manure pile gets attacked. because he discovers that his gold's gone. So presumably there's horse shit all over the stage by this time.
I think, to be fair, there was a specific area of the stage where the horse shit was dumped, and that's he's just gone there because it's been trailed around like breadcrumbs. So if you think of it, if he's walked off stage one way and then he comes on from the other door, still following the gold, and he gets to his pile, that sort of thing is how I'd stage it or something, because then you have the sort of pantomime quality to it all.
Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure at which point he rips apart the dung heap.
It must be in that the speech before it's either before the re-entrance of Christophero, because he's doing a golden circle. He returns having gone roundabout, and then he's finding that he's I think he's then scrabbling about the gold with the OOOs.
Oh, is it? Oh God, the case is altered.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He's gone full circle with the trail that was laid. He's returned to where his gold is buried. He starts digging it up around about there. I think that's how it functions. I could be wrong. Rachael.
No, I was going to say, because I was reading Angelo on Wednesday, and he does have that scene with Rachael where he's like, he's telling her that, you know, Paulo is never going to come back or something because he's in prison, and is she going to waste her time? And then he starts kind of getting very threatening with her. So I think it is his intention to, try and do whatever for himself. And then the multiple pronunciations that we had, I think those are different options that a production could play with for Jaques or Jaques or anything like that, because that does happen sometimes in English, that people will take Michel and they'll call them Michael, or they'll call they'll pronounce Elaine as Alan.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the thing is, because we are dealing with an awful lot of shit, Jaques would be an appropriate pronunciation, but it does seem to be a two-syllable thing. It seems to be a didum. Jaques, I think, fits the text as it flows, but I'm quite happy for it to constantly change at the moment, because that's the way I work. So all of those options are on the table at the moment. Sarah.
I got slightly confused by the gold, because this is that gold that he was using to lure Jaques, whatever his name is. That's not the original pile of gold, is it? No. Because Juniper and Onion have got that. That's just Christophero's gold that he's just brought along.
He's swindled Christophero out of his gold.
Yeah. Because
Christophero wants to run off with Rachael. So yeah.
So the main pot of gold is still with Juniper and Onion.
Absolutely, I'm sure they're bigging it up large somewhere. I believe that's the parlance. Any other thoughts? Alan, I think you were waving ages ago.
No, it was basically covered. It was on that question of that aside at the end of Angelo's speech, which I think is basically where he's going to the audience. Yeah, I've running away with her and swindled him.
Yeah, I have made notes of a sign there, so we'll see.
And I think you're dead right with that. OOO is the point at which he discovers that his little crop of gold has been nicked by the leprechauns.
Okay, let's dive on into the next scene then. Act 5, Scene 2, having spoken of them, enter Juniper, Onion, as well as Finio and Valentine.
Swoons, let me go. Picazzo, catch him alive. I call, boy. I come, sweetheart.
Page, hold my rapier while I hold my friend here.
Oh, here's a sweet metamorphosis. A couple of buzzards turned into a pair of peacocks.
Signor Onion, lend me thy boy to unhang my rapier.
Signor Juniper, for once or so, but truth is, you must inveigle as I've done. my lord's page here, a poor follower of mine.
Hey-ho! Your page then cannot be superintendent upon me. He shall not be addicted. He shall not be incident. He shall not be incident. He shall not be incident, shall he?
And he foins with his rapier. Ta-da, ta-da.
Oh, sweet Signor Juniper.
Blood, stand away. Princocks, do not aggravate my joy.
Nay, good Master Onion.
Nay, and he have the heart to draw my blood. Let him come.
I'll slice you, Onion. I'll slice you.
I'll cleave you, Juniper.
Why, hold! Hold, ho! What do you mean?
Let him come, Ingle. Stand by, boy. His alabaster blade cannot fear me.
Why, hear you, sweet Signor, let not there be any contention between my master and you about me. If you want a page, sir, I can help you to a proper stripling.
Canst thou? What parentage, what ancestry, what genealogy is he?
French boy, sir.
Has he his French linguist? Has he?
Aye, sir.
Then transport him. Here's a crusado for thee.
You will not embezzle my servant with your benevolence, will you? Old boy, there's a portmanteau for thee.
Lord, sir.
Do take it, boy. It's £3, 10 shillings, a portmanteau.
I thank your lordship.
And exit Finio.
Sirrah Ningle, thou art a traveller, and I honour thee. I prithee discourse, cherish thy muse, discourse.
Of what, sir?
Of what thou wilt. Sblood, hang sorrow.
Prithee, Valentine, assoil me one thing.
'Tis pity to soil you, sir, your new apparel.
Mass, thou sayest true. Apparel makes a man forget himself.
Begin. Find your tongue, Ningle.
Now will I gull these ganders red. Gentlemen, having in my peregrination through Mesopotamia...
Speak legibly. This game's gone, without the great mercy of God. Here's a fine tragedy indeed. There's a Kaiser Royal, by God slid, nor king nor Kaiser shall.
Enter Finio, Pacue, Balthasar, and Martino.
Where? Where? Finio, where be they?
Go to, I'll be with you anon.
Oh, here's the page, Signor Juniper.
What says Monsieur Onion, boy?
What say you, sir?
Tread out, boy.
Take up, you mean, sir?
Tread out, I say. So, I thank you. Is this the boy?
Oh, monsieur.
Who gave you that name?
Give me the name? What name?
He thought your name had been Wee. Young gentleman, you must do more than his legs can do for him. Bear with him, sir.
Sirrah, give me instance of your carriage. You'll serve my turn, will you?
What? Turn upon the toe?
Oh, Signor, no.
Page, will you follow me? I'll give you a good exhibition.
My gosh, I'll not alone follow you, but shall lead you too.
Plaguey boy. He soothes his humour. These French villains are pocky wits.
Here, disarm me. Take my cemetery.
Oh, rare! This would be a rare man, and he had a little travel. Balthasar, Martino, put off your shoes and bid him cobble them.
Friends, friends. But pardon me for fellows. No more an occupation. No more an corporation. 'Tis so. Pardon me. The case is altered. This is law, but I'll stand to nothing.
That's so, methink.
Well, then God save the Duke's Majesty. Is this any harm now? Speak, is this any harm now?
No, nor good neither, Sblood.
Do you laugh at me? Do you laugh at me? Do you laugh at me?
Aye, sir, we do.
You do indeed.
Aye, indeed, sir.
'Tis sufficient. Page, carry my purse. Dog me.
And exit, leaving Onion.
Gentlemen, leave him not. You see in what case he is. He is not in adversity. His purse is full of money. Leave him not.
And they exit. Yes. Interesting example of fools with money here. They've come on. They've bought some nice new clothes. They now, having money, they've bought themselves some swords, and they want to have their own servants. And yeah, that's not going to go very well. There were lots of jokes in there, or things that looked like jokes, but I didn't know what they were. What's the thing? There's obviously something to do with the money thing. The £3 10 shillings is a portmanteau. There's obviously a joke in that. That's obviously a joke. I've no idea what it means, but I can tell it's structured like a joke. I'm sure it was hilarious, but I've no idea what's going on there. Lynn, then Eric, then Alan.
Yeah, I agree. It's like there's something about that, but some of the jokes I think are funny. My peregrinations in Mesopotamia, and the other guy's like, "Well, what? Stop." So, but what I have to appreciate as a one-time costume designer is that Onion and Juniper show up. I mean, this is like a chance for your designer to like have a chance to have their own gag that dressed in these like outrageous, tacky, expensive but absolutely tasteless outfits. You know, it could be really funny. You know, stuff that like obviously doesn't go together. You know, like Hawaiian shirt and tuxedo kind of thing. It could be really funny, I think.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's full of these sight gags and, you know, what they're doing with their swords and the sort of affectations that they're all affecting. I love the way that, you know, they start tipping people. One tips one person and the other one goes, well, no, you mustn't, don't start tipping my servant. I will give you money. And of course, Finio's just going, thank you very much. This week is going well. They're just giving ridiculous amounts of money, willy-nilly. Eric, then Alan.
Yeah, I was gonna say this scene is so weird because it's like they're kind of role playing being rich, but they actually have the money to do it. So that everyone's just going along with it until Valentine just sort of goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna make them look like fools." And yeah, I don't quite get what the whole bringing Pacue in as a French page is, because there's a part of me going like, is that just a clue to their ages, or is that just sort of like they're pretending that someone older is actually the sort of subordinate? Or I mean, not that it matters, it's just interesting in terms of like, because we were trying to work out how old these characters are as well last time.
Yeah, I think Pacue is plausible as someone looking for employment. I mean, I think it's just a really bad job interview. You know, it's like, what's your name, boy? Oui. No, is this the boy? Oui, monsieur. Is your name Oui? How very strange. Which slightly mangled in the way the text is laid out. So it's hilarious. I think it could be played funny. It's just. It's not leaping off. It's like the scene earlier in the where we went. This is clearly a funny comic routine, but we're not quite getting it. Alan, then Rachael.
Yeah, I mean, the opening of that scene struck me as being that sort of a physical comedy routine of the two of them struggling with how do you get a sword into a scabbard, you know, which could be repeated almost ad nauseam. Until the backstage crew have actually finished sorting out the set change. And it had that feeling of, yeah, we'll dump this in here because it's a routine that's worked elsewhere and we need to fill a bit of space. So, yeah, go for it.
I mean, it won't be structurally for a set change, but it is almost certainly so that the two Angelo scenes that bookend this have something happening in between, and there's some structural stuff going on throughout the play where it seems that there is material that has been put in for various structural reasons because of who owns the play over time. So it seems like there might be stuff that might be from later adjustments, possibly. Rachael, then Helen. No, nothing from Rachael. Helen.
The bit I like is when Juniper decides to take offence. Do you laugh at me? And he goes round the circle of them, asking them all, do you laugh at me? Do you laugh at me? And then Valentine said, yeah, actually we do. And Juniper says, you do. And Valentine says, yep, we do. And Juniper says, fair enough.
Yeah. I've got money now. Carry my purse. That's cool with me.
I mean, he's not. Juniper's a nice guy. Onion's a nice guy. I mean, and wealth has not yet made them unpleasant.
No, I mean, it's also the question of, are they sober as well? I'm sort of looking at this going that they don't seem desperately with it. They've been sharper than this. Though we did get another onion gag. I'll slice you, onion. I'll slice you. Oh, look, let us not derogate the importance of bad jokes when repeatedly delivered at pace. Some of them I don't understand. Some of them are really nice and straightforward. I bet they'd get a laugh. I bet you they'd get a laugh. Therefore, they're fine. Okay, any more for any more? No? My dog's barking in the background, so I'd better move on and mute myself. Act 5, Scene 3. Enter Angelo with Rachael.
Nay, gentle Rachael.
Away, forbear, ungentle Angelo. Touch not my body with those impious hands, that like a hot iron sear my trembling heart, and make it hiss at your disloyalty.
Enter Chamont and Paulo Farnese.
Was this your drift, to use Farnese's name? Was he your fittest stale, or wild dishonour?
Stay, noble sir.
Splud, how like a puppet do you talk now? Dishonour? What dishonour? Come, fool. Nay, then I see you're peevish. Sot, dishonour? To have you a priest and marry you and put you in an honourable state.
To marry me? Oh, heaven, can it be that men should live with such unfeeling souls, without a touch or conscience of religion, or that their warping appetites should spoil those honoured forms that the true scale of friendship had set upon their faces?
Do you hear? What needs all this? Say, will you have me or no?
I'll have you gone, and leave me, if you would.
Leave you? I was accursed to bring you hither and make so fair an offer to a fool. A pox upon you. Why should you be coy? What good thing have you in you to be proud of? Are ye any other than a beggar's daughter? Because you have beauty, oh, God's light, a blast.
Aye, Angelo.
You scornful baggage. I loved thee not so much, but now I hate thee.
Upon my knees, you heavenly powers, I thank you, that thus have tamed his wild affections.
This will not do. I must to her again. Rachael, oh, that thou sawest my heart, or didst behold the place from whence that scolding sigh evented. Rachael! By Jesu, I love thee as my soul, Rachael. Sweet Rachael!
What again returned unto this violent passion?
Do but hear me. By heaven, I love you, Rachael.
Oh, pray forbear. Oh, that my Lord Farnese were but here.
Splud an he were, what would he do?
This would he do, base villain?
Oh, my dear lord!
Thou monster, even the soul of treachery! Oh, what dishonored title of reproach may my tongue spit in thy deserved face? Methinks my very presence should invert the steeled organs of those traitorous eyes, and take into thy heart and pierce it through, turning thou them on the ground. Wretch, dig a grave with their sharp points to hide thy abhorred head. Sweet love, thy wrongs have been too violent since my departure from thee, I perceive. But now true comfort shall again appear, and like an armed angel guard thee safe from all the assaults of covered villainy. Come, monsieur, let us go and leave this, monsieur, let us go and leave this wretch to his despair.
My noble Finesi.
What canst thou speak to me, and not thy tongue, forced with the torment of thy guilty soul, break that infected circle of thy mouth like the rude clapper of a crazed bell? I, that in thy bosom lodged my soul, with all her train of secrets, thinking them to be as safe and richly entertained as in a prince's court or a tower of strength. And thou, to prove a traitor to my trust, and basely to expose it. Oh, this world!
My honourable lord.
The very owl, whom other birds do stare and wonder at, shall hoot at thee, and snakes in every bush shall deaf thine ears with their...
Chamont?
Sorry, I was lost. Nay, good my lord, give end unto your passions.
You shall see, I will redeem your lost opinion.
My lord, believe him.
Come, be satisfied. Sweet lord, you know our haste. Let us to horse. The time for my engaged return is past. Be friends again, take him along with you.
Come, Signor Angelo, hereafter prove more true.
And they exit. So, yes, during that scene, while Angelo is being wicked, moustache twirly, Chamont and Paulo have been standing upstage going, "Ooh, let's see how this unfolds for a bit," in an unseen upstage kind of way. We're all stepping in, and Chamont doesn't say a lot, but he does get referenced every so often. He goes, "Come along, dear chap. Let's leave this villain." And lots of little asides there. So Rachael gets to express an opinion in a very vocal way. That was quite nice. We've got some moustache twirling from Angelo and some righteous indignation from Paulo.
Like father, like son. When they get mad.
Yeah. Thoughts on the room? Aliki.
If I were Rachael, I would be pretty ticked off with Paulo, who's like, "Yeah, never mind, you tried to abduct and rape my beloved. Never mind, be better next time."
Yeah, that's the nobility for you. Other thoughts?
Yeah, she intervenes for him.
Yeah.
So someone in chat is saying that there are some lines that they think are misapplied.
No, I don't think they are. They're just simply talking to Chamont, who's still in the room.
Got it.
Yeah, I missed that. So I was kind of trying to work out who Monsieur was when there was just three people in the scene.
Yeah, the silent Chamont.
Okay, I get it now.
Or until that point, because almost all the asides had been to him at that point, and by that point it's just going, hi.
Yeah, that'll make much more sense on stage than it does on page.
Well, one thing I'm not 100% certain about is precisely how Paulo and Chamont are in the same room together. How did Paulo get here? Helen?
Well, Chamont fetched him.
Yeah.
Chamont
of course
was released.
He did. Sorry, it's all right. I'm thinking of the wrong brother. It's fine. It's okay. Ignore me. I was getting confused. I thought, hang on, isn't he in the torture room? No, it's the other ones in the room of moderate discomfort. It's okay. That was just me getting confused. Yes, no, he's gone and fetched him. He has followed his word, and all is cool. Rachael.
I don't know. I think there's a moment where you could have a nice panto moment where it's like, "And every bush shall deaf thine ears with their," and then you could invite the audience to hiss at that moment because they're talking about snakes. So maybe it's Chamont that breaks off Paulo's speech, or maybe it's the audience that's meant to break off that pattern of speech.
I just quite like the way that Chamont's going, "Paulo, you've just done a very long speech of righteous indignation. That'll do. It's everyone learns that this family needs to be cut off in mid-monologue, otherwise you're going to be here all day." Eric?
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's interesting how we've got a lot of scenes that start with "Nay, do this" or "Nay, stay," "Nay, good," whatever, and sort of it's kind of like it's sort of dropping us in the action of another scene, which feels very modern, as opposed to sort of sequential and linear compared to previous things.
Yeah, absolutely. The suggestion that we are mid flow and that there's energy to entrances is really nice. Okay, any more for any more? It feels like we're maybe moving towards some kind of conclusion to the narrative thrust. Act 5, Scene 4. Enter Count Farnese, Maximilian, and Francisco.
Tut, Maximilian, for your honored self I am persuaded, but no words shall turn the edge of purposed vengeance on that wretch. Come, bring him forth to execution.
Ooh, that was an upgrade. It was torture last time. Wow, that escalated. Enter Camillo, bound with servants.
I'll hang him for my son. He shall not escape, had he 100 lives. Tell me, vile slave, thinkst thou I love my son? Is he my flesh? Is he my blood, my life? And shall these be tortured for thy sake and not revenged? Press up the villain.
My lord, there is no law to confirm this action. 'Tis dishonorable.
Dishonorable, Maximilian. It is dishonorable in Chamont. The day of his prefixed return is past, and he shall pay for it.
My lord, use your extremest vengeance. I'll be glad to suffer 10 times more for such a friend.
Oh, resolute and peremptory wretch.
My honoured lord, let us entreat a word.
I'll hear no more. I say, he shall not live. Myself will do it. Stay. What form is this stands betwixt him and me and holds my hand? Oh, let me start that over. I'll hear no more. I say he shall not live. Myself shall do it. Stay. What form is this stands betwixt him and me and holds my hand? What miracle is this? It is mine own fancy carves this impression in me. My softest nature, my so soft nature that hath retained such foolish pity of the most abject creature's misery, that it abhors this. What a child am I to have a child. Ah, me, my son, my son.
I think we should pause there. Very well navigated, Lynn, because it wasn't really clear where that was going. Then it immediately done. So, yeah, this goes from quite extreme edges there. So we've gone from, we're just going to torture him a bit. So we're going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. I'll do it if nobody else is going to do it, because Maximilian's constantly going on about honour. Seems to be his shtick is the honour thing. And then, no.
I can't do it.
I can't do it. He looks awfully familiar all of a sudden. Oh, it's my son. I mean, wow. It's quite a turnaround. The Count's got some extremes going on here. Rachael.
I don't know if this is a game that you could play, like if and when we come back to this, that everybody or a production could play. Has everybody found out before the Count and Camillo that Camillo is the Count's son, and they're trying to tell him, but he breaks people off, or has that not happened?
I think they'd just tell him. I
don't think anybody knows.
I think we should have an offstage chorus going ah, when he goes to try and kill the son. And that could be quite fun. I feel there needs to be something marked in the production, because otherwise the Count's got to do an awful lot of hard work there. But the Count does seem to be a really big, over-the-top role that's really there to have some scenery chewed. So, hey, good fun. Anyway, let us crack on. We've paused mid-scene. Enter, having discovered it's his son, enter Christophero.
My dear love, what has become of thee? What unjust absence layest thou on my breast, like weights of lead when swords are at my back, that run me through with thy unkind flight? My gentle disposition waxeth wild. I shall run frantic. Oh, my love! My love!
Enter Jaques.
My gold, my life, my soul, my heaven, what has become of thee? See, I'll impart my miserable loss to my good lord. Let me have search, my lord. My gold is gone.
My son, Christophero, thinkst thou it possible I shall ever see his face again?
Oh, father, where's my love? Were you so careless to let an unthrift steal away your child?
I know your lordship may find out my gold. For God's sake, pity me. Justice, sweet lord.
Now they have young Chamont, Christophero, surely they will never restore my son.
Who would have thought you could have been so careless to lose your only daughter?
Who would think that looking to my gold with such hare's eyes that ever open, I, even when I sleep, I should thus lose my gold? My noble lord, what says your lordship?
Oh, my son, my son!
My dearest Rachael.
My most honey gold!
Hear me, Christophero!
Nay, hear me, Jaques.
Hear me, most honoured lord.
What rule is here?
Oh, God, that we should let Chamont escape.
I'm just going to pause here again because there's again we have this comedy business of three people not talking to each other, or they're not listening to each other, and some of it seems to want to happen all at the same time. It's there's something really structurally interesting about this. I like this the way this works, that they're all sort of talking cross purposes and not really listening to each other. That's fascinating. Alan.
And I was totally confused by who the heck Christophero was addressing in his opening speech.
I think initially he's just to himself, and then he goes and talks to. He's not talking to anyone in the same way Jaques isn't really talking to anyone. He's talking to the audience. So, and that's why I think there's part of me thinking Christophero and Jaques actually should be saying their lines almost simultaneously, or overlapping, or one. There's some play that could be had there, and then of course Christophero is talking to Jaques, and Jaques is talking to Count, and Count's trying to talk to Christophero, and they're all in this fascinating little circle run round. Lots of potential there in terms of stage business. Eric, then Helen.
Yeah, I think it's like the sort of, well, if you want to call it that, the sort of mirror of the hat swapping scene where they kind of, not hat swapping, but sort of teaching manners scene that we mentioned earlier, where they've kind of got one line each, and then something starts to unravel the situation as well, and then
Especially as Maximilian sort of does this late onset thing of popping in and going, "What the hell's going on?" So you almost feel like he's trapped in the middle of them. Helen.
Yeah, I like that line of Maximilian's. I thought it was the funniest of the lot. Am I in a madhouse? This is not the way I run my household, where servants know how to keep their place. But I don't think that the Count knows that Jasper or Gaspar or Camillo is his son. I think he's had some sort of supernatural feeling that he mustn't kill him, but I don't think he's placed him as his son, because otherwise he would have said so. I mean, here he's the son he's talking about here is Raoul, is it, or Ralph or Rachael?
Paulo, yeah.
Paulo. Gosh, these names. It's Paulo is the one that he's talking about. He's not referring at all. And if he had just discovered his long-lost son, I'm sure it would come up somewhere in the conversation.
Yes, he is just talking about his the lost son that he's never going to get back again because they've got Chamont. You're right, absolutely.
Yeah. So
it's still very odd.
What happened there? This supernatural soliciting or whatever it was is I mean, I was thinking that possibly there was an executioner with a very, very big axe, and that he said, "I'll do it," and tried to pick up the axe and failed completely, and therefore staggered away pretending that he changed his mind.
Well, I thought, sort of looking at it, it's like he has a vision. He sees his other son in the face of his son, and that's the vision. Because he talks about this, what form is this stands betwixt him and me. I'm just wondering whether there's a vision element going on there. We may be being too literal, and we may need more data going on. But yes, these are all very good points, Eric.
Yeah, I thought that at some point he recognized sort of his son, but then I was a bit lost there, and then sort of like, oh, recognition scene. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's interesting how that works. It's sort of
So in a sense, nothing's actually happened in this scene apart from confusion. So the Count's gone to kill Camillo, but hasn't. He's talking about his other son who's trapped. Jaques has come in about his gold, and he's trying to tell the Count about it. Count is trying to turn to Christophero to talk about it, and Christophero is trying to turn to Jaques, saying, "Jaques, how did you lose your daughter? How could you manage that? That's just ridiculous." And they're going round and round and round and round in circles. And Maximilian's just going, "Hang on, this scene made sense when I entered." Which I'm sort of enjoying. So we're just going to go back a couple of lines just to get back up to speed, because enter Aurelia, Phoenixella. They enter amidst the chaos, and I don't think their entrance is sort of meaningful in terms of where it's actually marked there. I think that's actually out of place, effectively. So can we go from hear me Christophero, nay hear me Jaques, that sort of three-way circus, and we'll take the entrance of Aurelia Phoenixella as read. At some point they're going to enter around about here, but I'm not going to read the stage direction. Let's just let that dialogue flow. So go from nay hear me, or hear me Christophero, the Count.
Is that before their entrance?
Yes, before their entrance.
Okay, right. Nay, hear me, Christophero.
Hey, hear me, Jaques.
Hear me, most honored lord.
What rule is here?
Oh, God, that we should let Chamont escape.
Aye, and that Rachael, such a virtuous maid, should be thus stolen away.
And that my gold, being so hid in earth, should be found out.
Oh, confusion of languages, and yet no Tower of Babel.
Ladies, beshrew me, if you come not fit to make a jangling consort, you will laugh to see 3 constant passions.
Stand by. I will urge them. Sweet Count, will you be comforted?
It cannot be, but he is handled the most cruelly that ever any noble prisoner was.
Steward, go cheer up my lord.
Well, if Rachael took her flight willingly.
Sir, speak you touching your daughter's flight.
Oh, that I could so soon forget to know the thief again that had my gold. My gold!
Is not this pure?
Oh, thou base wretch, I'll drag thee through the streets, and as a monster make thee wondered at.
At which point enter Balthasar, whispers with the Count.
How now?
Sweet gentleman, how too unworthily art thou thus tortured? Brave Maximilian, pity the poor youth and appease my father.
How? My son returned? Oh, Maximilian, Francisco, daughters, bid him enter here. Dost thou not mock me?
Enter Chamont, Freitas, the younger, Rachael and Angelo.
Oh, my dear Paulo, welcome.
My lord Chamont.
My Gaspard!
Rachael.
My gold! Rachael, my gold!
Somebody bid the beggar cease his noise.
Oh, Senior Angelo, would you deceive your honest friend that simply trusted you? Well, Rachael, I am glad thou art here again.
Faith, she's not for you, steward.
I beseech you, madam, urge your father.
I will anon. Good Jaques, be content.
Now, God of mercy, fortune, and sweet Venus, let Cupid do his part, and all is well.
Methinks my heart's in heaven with this comfort. Chamont, is this the true Italian courtesy? Freitas, were you tortured thus in France? By my soul's safety.
My most noble lord, I do beseech your lordship.
Honored Count, wrong not your age with flexure of a knee. I do impute it to those cares and griefs that did torment you in your absent son.
Oh, worthy gentleman, I am ashamed that my extreme affection to my son should give my aunt Urso uncured a maim. But my first son, being in Vincenza lost...
How? In Vincenza? Lost you a son there? About what time, my lord?
On the same night wherein your noble father took the town.
How long is that since, my lord? Can you remember?
Well, now 'tis nigh upon the 20th year.
And how old was he then?
I cannot tell. Between the years of 3 and 4, I take it.
Had he no special note in his attire, or otherwise that you can call to mind?
I cannot well remember his attire, but I have often heard his mother say he had about his neck a tablet given to him by the Emperor Sigismund, his godfather, with the inscription under the figure of a silver globe, in minimo mundus.
How did you call your son, my lord?
Camillo, Lord Chamont.
Then no more my Gaspard, but Camillo! Take notice of your father. Gentlemen, stand not amazed. Here is a tablet with that inscription, found about his neck that night, and in Vincenza, by my father, who, being ignorant what name he had, christened him Gaspard, nor did I reveal this secret till this hour to any man.
Oh, happy revelation! Oh, blessed hour! Oh, my Camillo!
Well, we paused. Phoenixella coming up next, and then immediately after Francisco is the next lines afterwards. But Phoenixella, please.
Oh, strange, my brother.
And then it's
Maximilian.
Francisco, please.
Oh, Maximilian, behold how the abundance of his joy drowns him in tears of gladness.
Oh, my boy, forgive thy father's late austerity.
And Lord, I delivered as much before, but your honor would not be persuaded. I will hereafter give more observance to my visions. I dreamt of this.
I can see still no longer. My good lord, do a poor man some grace amongst all your joys.
Why, what's the matter, Jaques?
I am robbed. I am undone, my lord, robbed and undone. A heap of 30,000 golden crowns stolen from me in 1 minute, and I fear by her confederacy that calls me father. But she is none of mine. Therefore, sweet lord. Oh, damn.
Well, tell you what, we'll pause there because we've had one revelation.
Yeah.
Let's discuss it.
Right.
So yeah, we've found out yes, at this moment, thankfully for his vision earlier, having not killed his son, he has gained a second son, has the Count. By a whole series of wonderful coincidences. Lots of people getting to go, yay, it's lovely to see you. I love the way that Maximilian, trying to sort out what everyone is saying, just goes, right, now let me sort out what you're saying. And what you're saying? Oh, for goodness sake. I feel for Maximilian in this situation. There's some really nice comedy in this for all its sort of, and because it's so absurd as well. I really like the fact that it's just nicely ridiculous.
I'm really enjoying Maximilian's deadpan commentary and all of this kind of hysterical. Yeah.
And I also love the way the Count just goes when Jaques steps in and says, "Please, amidst all your joys, could you hear my request?" And he says, "What's the matter?" It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the way to play that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm robbed, I'm undone. That to be tortured to confess the truth.
Yes. Okay. So,
Sorry.
any other thoughts on the story so far? Anyone want to throw in before we rejoin Jaques' terrible loss? No, okay, Jake. We take it from the top. I'm robbed.
Yeah.
Go from there, and let's hear what you've got to say to the Count.
I am robbed. I'm undone, my lord, robbed and undone. A heap of 30,000 golden crowns stolen from me in 1 minute, and I fear by her confederacy that calls me father. She is none of mine. Therefore, sweet lord, let her be tortured to confess the truth.
More wonders yet.
How, Jaques? Is not Rachael then thy daughter?
Nope. I disclaim in her, I spit at her, she is a harlot, and her customers, your son, this gallant, and your steward here, have all been partners with her in my spoil, no less than 30,000.
Jaques, this is impossible. How shouldst thou come to the possession of so huge a heap, being always known a beggar?
It suddenly occurred to me, it would be interesting if the entire Count Fernese family had some distinguishing mark, like they all have very, very red hair.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of cliches we could heap into this. I'm slightly disappointed that they haven't had to go and check the army lists.
Out, alas, I have betrayed myself with my own tongue. The case is altered.
Someone stay him here.
What means he to depart? Count Fernese, upon this my soul, this beggar's a counterfeit. Urge him. Didst thou lose gold?
Oh no, I lost no gold.
Said I not true?
How? Didst thou first lose 30,000 crowns and no gold? Was Rachael first thy child, and is she now no daughter? Sirrah Jaques, you know how far our Milan law extends for punishing of liars.
Aye, my lord, what shall I do? I have no starting holes. Monsieur Chamont, stand you, my honoured lord.
For what, old man?
Ill-gotten goods never thrive. I played the thief, and now am robbed myself. I am not what I seem, Jaques de Prix, nor was I born a beggar as I am, but sometime steward to your noble father.
What? Milan, that robbed my father's treasure, stole my sister.
Aye, that treasure's lost, but Isabel, your beauteous sister, here survives in Rachael, and therefore, on my knees...
Stay, Jaques, stay. The case still alters.
Fair Rachael, sister to the Lord Chamont.
Steward, your cake is dough as well as mine.
And Paulo now. I see that honor's flames cannot be hid, no more than lightning in the blackest cloud.
And, sir, it is true, you have lost this gold.
Aye, worthy signor, 30,000 crowns.
I'm the dad again. Matt, who was it told me that a couple of my men were become gallants of late?
Marry, 'twas I, my lord. My man told me.
Enter, at that point, they've mentioned them, so enter Onion and Juniper.
How now? What pageant's this?
Come, Signor Onion, let's not be ashamed to appear. Keep state. Look not ambiguous now.
Not I, while I'm in this suit.
Lordlings, equivalents to you all.
We thought good to be so good as see you, gentlemen.
What, Monsieur Onion?
How dost thou, good captain?
What are my hinds turned gentlemen?
Hinds, sir? Blood, and that word will bear an action. Shall cost us £1,000 apiece, but we'll be revenged.
Wilt thou sell thy lordship, Count?
What peasants purchase lordships?
Is that any novel, sir?
Oh, transmutation of elements. It is certified you had pages.
Aye, sir. But it is known they proved ridiculous. They did pilfer, they did purloin, they did procrastinate our purses. For the which wasting of our stock, we have put them to the stocks.
And thither shall you two presently, these be the villains that stole Jaques' gold, away with them, and set them with their men.
Onion, you will now be peeled.
The case is altered now.
Good my lord, good my lord.
Away, scoundrel! Dost thou fear a little elocution? Shall we be besecond? Should we be second?
Should we be omitted? Just go. That's how it should go.
Shall we be omitted? Confiscate now? Shall we droop now? Shall we be now in helog bolus?
Peace, peace, leave thy gabbling.
Away, away with them. What's this they prate?
Exeunt with Juniper and Onion.
Keep the knaves sure, strict inquisition shall presently be made for Jaques gold, to be disposed at pleasure of Chamont.
She is your own, Lord Paulo, if your father give his consent.
How now, Christophero? The case is altered.
With you, as well as me, I am content, sir.
With all my heart, and in exchange of her, if your fair acceptance it may stand, I tender my Aurelia to your love.
I take her from your lordship with all thanks, and bless the hour wherein I was made prisoner for the fruition of this present fortune, so full of happy and unlooked-for joys. Milan, I pardon thee, and for the treasure, recover it and hold it as thine own. It is enough for me to see my sister live in the circle of Fernez's arms. My friend, the son of such a noble father, and my unworthy self, wrapped above all by being the lord of so divine a dame.
Well, I will now swear the case is altered. Lady, fare you well. I will subdue my affections. Madam, as for you, you are a professed virgin, and I will be silent. My honorable Lord Ferneze, it shall become you at this time not to be frugal, but bounteous and open-handed. Your fortune hath been so to you, Lord Chamont. You are now no stranger. You must be welcome. You have a fair, amiable, and splendid lady. But Signor Paulo, Signor Camillo, I know you are valiant, be loving. Lady, I must be better known to you. Signors, for you, I pass you not, though I let you pass. For in truth, I pass not of you. Lovers to your nuptials, lordlings to your dances. March fair all, for a fair march is worth a king's ransom.
And they exit, and they all live happily ever after, and all of the ridiculously over-the-top-ness of it all does sort of resolve it. So I do like the way that Jaques just goes, right, no, okay, I'm disowning my daughter, where's my gold? Oh, shit. No, I have no gold. No. Yeah, oh, damn.
Yeah.
And it all falls apart. And yeah, the constant reiteration of the title to the point where, yeah, it is just who's going to say it to the audience next is just so cheesy. I'm really enjoying it. And yes, we got another onion joke.
Yeah.
I like obvious jokes. I think there is a place for them. And you know, this play. I found that a very satisfying ending on the whole. It fitted the tone of where the play ended up. I think the problem with the play was actually it was too much extraneous comic business that wasn't plot related at the beginning. But once the mechanics of the plot kicks in, actually it starts kicking off quite nicely. Still curating to do, but yeah, interesting things. Thoughts on the room about the various endings there, and precisely how much bling should Onion and Juniper have upon their final entrance?
So much.
More than they can carry.
Yeah. It's got to be physically painful, hasn't it? You know, they've got to be walking with they've got to have spurs. They've got to have, a massive hat that barely gets through the door. I don't want to even discuss how big their codpieces will be. It's shoes half a yard or two long. I mean, just so much stuff. Alan, then Aliki.
I must admit, I came to the conclusion when we looked at the previous third of this, that the B plot was considerably more interesting than the A plot. And I've not seen anything today to make me change that viewpoint. I think an awful lot of the A plot is discardable, because it's far less satisfactory in my viewpoint.
It all centres around the Count, the A plot, and the Count is so good. I mean, that's the thing. I do agree that some of the peripheral court characters are not very important. The Count's relationship with Maximilian is actually very satisfying. And actually, I quite like the way that Maximilian becomes this sort of, organizer, just trying to sort everything out at the end. That's really quite lovely. And that he gets the final speech at the end sort of elevates him a bit. I do think there are some peripheral characters that can be just quietly excised and get their dialogue given to other people or removed. I think there's structurally the A plot has too many people in it, whereas the B plot doesn't. The B plot has exactly the right number of people in it. Aliki.
I haven't done the earlier parts of the play, so I'm not sure how well it would work. But I think if you big up Maximilian a little more at the beginning as a sort of amused observer of all of the folly, you can make maybe a through line of him being that, so that he arrives here really nicely. I was also thinking, I got very cross with the various times that we were told the case was altered. But actually, I think you could maybe have a lot of fun with that, like big dramatic pause before somebody says it. Oh, is he going to say it? I think in the end you have to even give the line to the audience. Maximilian will say, well, now I will swear.
And actually, it is well distributed through the play. I don't think anyone says it in the first half, because the case doesn't alter in the first half. And it slowly increases as the script goes on, till the final scene is just the case is altered again, the case is altered again. Because the case does keep altering. And I think it's actually really fun. And you're right, I think it is almost an audience participation number by the very end.
It reminds me of Brazil, where the nuts come from, in Charlie's Arm.
Yeah.
That was that kind of reiterated line. That,
and we've sort of talked about the importance of being earnest. Now, the importance of being earnest only uses the title at the very end of the play. It doesn't use it as a recurring catchphrase. We've had this with Like Will to Like, which uses the phrase ridiculous number of times, but not for comic effect, more for something slightly demonic, actually. So, yeah, I think it's well distributed, actually. And it is occasionally slightly different, and the Maximilian gets to do variations on it. He doesn't do it exactly the same every time. Who's next? I've lost track. Rachael.
I wonder if you can put in a sound effect for when they say the case is altered, like dun dun dun.
The house band strikes up every time.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah, or you could do it like a pantomime where someone holds up a board at the back with it written on every time you want the audience to join in.
Eric.
I was going to say you could use the sound effect of the casino game, when you pull down the arm and you get all the fruits in a row, and ding 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 ding, case is altered or whatever. I know. Yeah, it's quite. I do like that Maximilian got the final speech because I got to read it, but then he does so many quick changes in a very short amount of time. It's like, lady, fare you well, then madam, then lady, then sir, then honorable Lord Farnese, and then lady, and yeah, and it's like, who exactly is he flirting with? Going to, lady, I must be better known to you. Yeah, it's it's unclear, but also
I
fun.
think that has to be Aurelia.
Yeah, but she's going to be married off to Chamont, and
No, sorry, not Aurelia. T'other one.
Phoenixella.
Phoenixella, yeah.
But yeah, it's just fun that he gets to sort of clear things up.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about the ending? Rachael.
About that end bit with Maximilian and Phoenixella, you could have it and set it up in that comedy way, like they're the next couple that'll get together, or you could have it like he takes her hand to kiss it and she pulls back like, oh no. Because he was hitting on her sister before. I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, it's got to be said that anything involving Aurelia and Phoenixella is woefully underdeveloped in the text. There is a certain amount of, we're having this ending because it's structurally necessary. Let us not spend any more time on it than is required. Hold hands and smile. There you go. Move on. Nothing to see here apart from the bling that Onion and Juniper brought in. I feel a bit sorry for Onion and Juniper. I feel that they should. I think we should make sure that they don't exit with the quite as much sense of potentiality of torture. Just confiscate the stuff, get it back. They do.
They've had their fun.
They've had their fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone really feels threatened by the Count. I mean, that's the question earlier when he goes to kill his son, not knowing it's his son, before the moment of divine presence. Do we ever really do we need to make the Count feel threatening? Does that moment need dramatic heft, or does it not matter? Sarah.
He's not the same because he's actually a much better, nicer character. But he reminds me slightly of Rex Harrison playing Professor Higgins. You get the impression his bark is a lot worse than his bite. He's very irascible. He's quite hot-tempered. He talks a lot of hot air a lot of the time, but he's not actually going to turn around and do anything. I don't know. I think if you were to raise the stakes and make him a more threatening character, it would tilt the tone of the play to a point where it might be then difficult to pull it back and make it seem, because it would have this more serious, threatening streak to it, and I think that is not the way to go with this play. Actually, you just want everyone to be having a damn good time. I mean, the audience need to feel drunk by the time this play is over, whether they've actually been drinking or not. They need to feel like they've been drinking a lot of champagne.
Yeah. And actually, that sort of talks to some of the stuff at the beginning of the play that we thought was extraneous, but actually, it's that thing of you need some soft opening, slow balls or something to just get the audience warmed up. If that material is genuinely funny for a modern audience, some of which may have lost its edge over time, as comedy does. Of actually, that's almost a defence for the play as it stands, without necessarily making the sort of editorial changes that we've been discussing. It does feel a little unbalanced. It does feel like the opening doesn't have the impetus that the second half of the play definitely has. I think the second half is incredibly tight, actually. There are a couple of little minor scenes that are a bit, well, we probably need to work on making these funnier for a modern audience, but actually they're not that long and they don't hold up the action too much. Dan, you were waving.
So this might be more of a final thought thing. So
we're drifting in that general direction. You can make it a final thought if you like.
Sure. So I've only been here for the last session, and I've never been able to put my finger on Jonson plays. Just whenever I've seen them, whenever I've read them, they've always been super long and just full of not being able to follow the plot, and lots of gags that I've not read or seen on stage that have actually worked well. So I've never been really sure about what tone it should take, what type of comedy style it should take, how it should present itself. But one thing I was wondering what might actually work for this was to go against, I guess, what seems to be the popular thing, which is to play lots of things over the top and getting the audience involved and all that. But I would say trying out a deadpan humor. Kind of like in the Get Smart or the Office type of humor, where it's not that you're not going to be, exaggerating a little bit your deliveries or whatnot, but not winking at the audience at all. In fact, and delivering everything very, very straight. It doesn't get the problem with pacing, because it's such a long play, means that it's going to go.
It isn't a long play.
No, this one isn't.
This one isn't.
But it still feels like, to me, that because you're not really following the plots, it starts to feel a little long. And I'm not sure it's necessarily the point. Yes, it has to all kind of come together, but I think the plot is secondary to the actual, I guess, setups and the for each scene. I think this is one that, unfortunately, because this text, as we've seen, it's a bit unwieldy because of the fact that it was poorly printed by a poor printer, Nicholas Oakes, at the time. But Jonson's usually very particular about asides indicating every single little thing, down to his punctuation. This one has elements of Jonson, but we were pointing out where there's asides here and there, and normally it's the kind of thing that Jonson points out. for you. And I think it really does. If there's any kind of method to this madness, I'd want to see it tried that way.
I think what's really interesting about doing this without going in with too much knowledge of Jonson for a lot of people, we've done 2.5 plays, two of which are early plays, early version of the Every Man in His Humour, and this is actually all of the things that people have been saying about Jonson actually haven't as of yet applied, or don't apply as much, and that this text feels very much like it's accurate to something that was on stage, whereas a lot of later Jonson and the way they get printed, you sort of think that actually Jonson has slightly killed their theatricality as texts, because he's made them ridiculously long and probably filed off some edges. This feels so much more stage-worthy and so much more alive, I think, in part because Jonson hasn't tried to present it in his sort of overly editorialized fashion. I've really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed Every Man in His Humour. Every Man in His Humour needs a cut because it's too long. This one isn't. This one can be cut and probably should in places be cut. But it just feels so much more alive. I've really enjoyed this one, and makes me hopeful for the future.
I would have liked to have seen the rest of it. I do think it would have helped. I mean, I'm not a fan at all of Jonson's editorial remarks. Every single page, like hundreds of them, it seems like at times. But it does seem like, for example, when Alan was wondering who Christophero was talking to. And I think to me, I mean, I can imagine how it would be staged. The two people are talking to the audience and then face off to each other. These are the kinds of things that, it's really hard to read on the page. And yeah, I would like to have seen it. And no, that's not the kind of thing you would write in a playbook or a prompt book either. But it's the kind of thing that Jonson might write because he thinks that you need to know everything and how everything is staged. And actually, I'm like, well, some of this actually would be helpful to see that.
Yes, I mean, it's full of really nice set pieces that are complicated, and that's where being able to workshop this stuff later is going to be really fun. This is a very workshoppable play to say for each scene, where's the joke? And that's when you're doing a comedy, is basically that's the question. What's the joke? What's the game? How many laughs can we squeeze out of this? Because it's not like there's any particularly deep moral here. I'm not noticing any meaningful satire going on here, or a point to any of this. It's the most cliched, it's a couple of very cliched plots from very long time ago, mushed together to create what's probably best analogous to a sort of souffle. I'm talking a lot. I'm going to stop. Alan, any final thoughts?
Not really. Nothing to add.
Eric, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm just wondering whether we get to add this to like the plays with dogs or plays with trees or both. It's like a Venn diagram of them. Yeah, we actually didn't get to see Garlic again. I was very sad. Garlic is a mastiff, for those who weren't here.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Might not exist.
Yeah, we're not sure. He supposedly chased Onion up a tree and stuff. And yeah, no, I think it was quite fun to read. And I think if you play it at pace, like either as Dan says or like sort of over the top, I think it could work either way. Yeah, I don't know. It has to be like sort of that old rule of comedy where the characters have to believe that it's life or death, or else it won't work. But yeah, kind of. I think it would be fun to do again.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've got these massive characters. The Count and Jaques are just these enormous characters that and for them, absolutely, they have to be believing in what they're doing at every moment, because otherwise, they've got massive motivation to be massive characters. Lalitte, any final thoughts from you? You've only been here for this session
very bewildered.
as well.
I'm very bewildered by it just because of pages jumping and stuff. But no, I thought. I kind of missed the satire though, because I think I came to Jonson expecting something very sharp and sort of socially kind of observed, but this obviously isn't that. But yeah, it looks quite fun. I think a lot of the peripheral characters do need to be cut, because I was just lost as to who was whom. But maybe if I'd seen the whole thing, it would have been clearer.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, when Francisco, and just going, I was here for when he was introduced and had scenes. I can't remember who he is, and I still can't remember who he is, and I've read the whole play now. It's just like, yeah, some of those servants and some of those lower courtiers and things could do with a tidy up. Rachael, any final thoughts?
And no, I think I've said a bunch over the past couple days with this. I don't know. I'm just completely stumped with it. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed garlic. I enjoyed all the onion jokes. I think this is a play that makes you laugh in the end because the jokes are so bad, but it doesn't stop hitting you with them, and eventually you laugh.
I mean, it's often with comedies we have big problems, of going, this isn't funny anymore. And there are problems with it. The female characters are massively underdrawn, but we are on the whole having fun, and that's quite helpful in a comedy rather than going, which is always a bit of a problem. And there are things to sort of tidy up elements of that. Aliki, you've only been here for this session, so I'm sure you're totally confused. You've come in for the session which is primarily about bamboozlement.
I mean, I really enjoyed it, even though I didn't very much get what was going on. But I look forward to the workshop. I agree. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this one.
Helen, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the enormous numbers of small characters, especially in the servant class, who we can't separate out. I mean, I was reading Martino or Martini or somebody today, and they came, they went, and added nothing to the gaiety of nations. But I think that this may be to do with what it finally says after Finis in our text, which is that it was for a boys' company, which would account for all the entire junior form playing many comic servants and pages. Which must have been detached if it was put on by an adult group, an adult company. I would have thought. I mean, I loved it. I really did, and I'm not the greatest Jonson fan in the whole world. It was completely new to me, and I loved it. And I think there's a tremendous amount in it, and it's a joyful play, which is nice, and we can be properly happy at the end of it. And Maximilian, who had a rather unthankful part most of the way through, got to say, on the contrary, Aunt Augusta, which was rather nice.
Yeah, and the play does seem to have passed between companies. So some of the slightly more extraneous, odd bits may be because additional material was created or moved or played around with to accommodate different conventions and different performers that are available. So there may be an interesting element to that as to why structurally it's a little odd in places, which is I think I've just been going through this, the cast list, just crossing through characters I think can be elided, and the cast is getting down to a very manageable size now. It has to be said. I'll come up with a proper number in a minute. Lynn, any final thoughts?
Yes. Well, the resolution didn't take place quite as I was envisioning it. I thought that the order that those events would fall out in is that the Juniper and Onion's newfound wealth would make them suspect of something going on. We'd question them, and then Jaques would be compelled to confess, and then we put everything together, rather than it kind of happened in the reverse order that I was envisioning it. But I do not disapprove. So yeah, I found that actually pretty satisfactory. Yeah, it is unfortunate that the female characters are really just there to all they ever really do is exposition. So structurally, we don't even really need Phoenixella. We could cut that whole character, but I would be inclined not to, just because the play's a little yang as it is. But yeah, Antonio, Sebastian, Martino, Vincentio, Valentine, Balthasar, Finio, and the boy. Yeah, you could probably conflate those into one character. I would probably change the scene where Francisco seems to be wooing Phoenixella and maybe make that Maximilian or something. Anyway, but I relent a little bit. I was definitely feeling like too many notes the last time we worked on this day before yesterday, but the jigsaw puzzle finally got made, and I ended up really enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at a sort of trimming down. You know, if you go for a relatively conservative approach of, you know, broadly speaking, apart from a bit of doubling, you just reduce the cast size. It's still looking to be 10 plus. It's difficult to get it down, but I do see a way that you could go really quite extreme with very extreme doubling. It does help that the two plot lines, by and large, don't intersect for a lot of the time. And that there might be a case of, you know, I always hate to have a scene where someone just immediately in the middle of a scene turns around and becomes somebody else, because there's one bit where they actually talk to somebody else or even to themselves. But I think this play might survive that, actually. I think it's silly enough, potentially, but I'm not sure. Sarah, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it might survive it. It's so absurd. I really enjoyed it. I thought what Helen said was kind of on the nose, actually. It's fun. And comedies quite often aren't fun. And this one is. And it's kind of slightly dizzying. It does have so many notes in it. You know, it's like the bubbles go up your nose and you're like, oh, but it's got a lot of fizz, and it's slightly intoxicating. I really enjoyed it. And I think for a modern production, I think, well, it depends where you're playing it, I suppose, but I would imagine that most audiences these days are aware enough or open enough to actually, you know, you would get round the fact that it is a very yang play, you know, and that, yes, like one of them, at least there are only like, what, 3 female characters, and one of them you could cut quite easily. I think you could get around that just by, you know, ignoring the gender when you cast it, and just cut, you know, if this was cast, if half the characters were played by men and half the characters were played by women, and you really didn't make a fuss of the gender, you just kind of played it, because weirdly gender isn't really, it's not really a terribly, maybe because there are so few female characters in it, gender isn't really a big issue in this play. I mean, other than there's the side plot with Rachael, which obviously, you know, and Angelo attempting to, well, he does abduct her and attempts to sort of, well, does he attempt to rape her? I think it
marriage without consent is the idea.
Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, so I mean, it goes there then. So you would maybe, but I was talking the other day about casting Rachael as a guy anyway, just to kind of get over the fact that everybody loves Rachael and she hardly says anything, and it's like, let's just really play up that objectification of women there. So I actually think you could get around the whole, oh, this is such a masculine play. I think you could get around that in a modern production pretty easily, and I think modern audiences would love this, actually. You know, once it was streamlined, as you and others have said, it could be really, really playable.
And it slots very neatly into initial shows where we've got a relatively small number of actors and we're just doing demonstrations of plays rather than full productions, where we could take the Jaques gold plot and just do that, you know, as a separate entity because I think that holds up incredibly well, because there's some lovely scenes, and the gold stolen and wah wah wah, and that sort of ends it, and you do a nice little 30-minute skit version of that, and you sort of get it out there so that people sort of know there's some great stuff in this play before you go into doing a full-on massive thing. Eric, then Lynn.
I was gonna say that if you really wanted to, you could do it as a sort of panto where you've got, although minus the panto dame, but I mean that's not really a big problem. But I mean, you could do the traditional cross casting of panto where you've got the sweet Prince Charming and that kind of stuff, but with this.
Paulo as principal boy. I think that has a certain
or
logic to
Rachael
it.
as principal boy.
Lynn.
Yeah, I like Sarah's meditation on ways to do this, to cast this. I'm kind of always in favor of having female actors play whatever parts just to give them work. But I think that this play has potential to actually use that to good effect. We've been talking about Ernest a lot, right? And it always just chaps my hide when Lady Bracknell is a drag part. I mean, it's funny and everything, but there are so few parts in the canon for mature female actresses. It always just rankles me when that part's given to a man. But we could flip the script literally here and have someone, this is going to be maybe culturally unfamiliar to a lot of people, someone like B. Arthur playing the Count, the American actress from the Golden Girls. See my American friend. So, an actress with a female actor with some weight, with some gravitas, playing that crazy, grumpy Count might be really hilarious. So, yeah, I think you could gender flip some of these parts and actually deliberately for an effect. I definitely put some thought into that.
And I think there's similar for Jaques as well. I think there's those parts. I entirely agree on the basic principle. I think this is the kind of play you just throw some actors at it, and it's just because you like the actors and you think they're good, and then you worry about the casting later, and you just mix and match with a balanced room. Any other thoughts on this one before I close the session? No. Say it's not a desperately long play. It's lovely. It's not having to sit here and go, it's Ben Jonson, so we've got 10,000 words we have to cut before anyone literally dies midway through Act 2. It's delightful. And I also like going into with plays where people have a rep. And a reasonable percentage of the room being able to just take the play on face value and not take a reputation on board. So far, with the 2.5 Ben Jonsons we've done, so far he's coming out quite well. There are more plays to come. All that remains is to thank all the wonderful readers for their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Bye. Do not aggravate my joy.